Howdy, my name is Kevin Guerra.
I'm Phillip Ronin.
I'm Isaac Burns.
I'm Matthew Vincent.
I'm Nico Corso.
And this is our boat trip project for Chemistry 117, Section 408. We'll be talking about the use of AI and satellite imaging to prevent and help in oil spill cleanup. I'm going to give the mic to my good friend Isaac.
Hello. So our idea was to greatly increase the speed at which oil spills are cleaned up and to make the whole process somewhat autonomous. So the idea was we have satellites which already take images, and we scan all of those images and we put them through some sort of image classifier. And if it sees an oil spill or something that might look like an oil spill, it will send in a bunch of robots. And those robots will investigate further and they'll see whether or not they have it. As for what's going to pilot those drones, it's going to be some sort of physical intelligence network. You can look up Pi-0 physical intelligence if you're very interested in that. And by greatly increasing the speed at which these oil spills are cleaned, this will, protect the water and the coastal environment. I'm not sure how long ago this was, but recently there was a giant oil spill over in Alaska, and that hurt a lot of the wildlife over there, hurt the fishing industry. And you might be asking, okay, what does chemistry have to do with this? This sounds mostly robotics. The way in which we clean up oil spills is pretty much entirely chemistry. I mean, you can have the robots skew it off with their limbs, but realistically, they're going to be deploying some sort of chemical region, and their job is to figure out which one we should use and where should we use it. So their deployment, but what the actual weapon is, that's chemistry.
The duties and agreements between our group. So in total, our group has 5 different members. Me as the team facilitator, Nico as a product manager, Matthew as a team manager, Kevin as a research facilitator, and Isaac as a researcher. So some challenges that we face as a group. So one of the challenges that we face as a group is keeping every team member accountable for their work. And the way that we combated this is by having weekly meetings or virtual meetings. So if you couldn't attend, you could still be there virtually, and that way everybody was keeping track of all their work that was being done. Now, did our agreement help us find our way? Yeah. Keeping each other accountable allowed everybody to feel as though they weren't having to carry the entire weight of the team, and it allowed us to be more confident and do better as a result.
Hi, I'm Matthew, and I will be outlining the theses that our group came up with. And so we had 5 theses, each with different subjects, including growing and harvesting algae, installing 5G antennas to monitor high traffic and lessen the load on infrastructure, the issues of pollution in the Galveston Bay that could be mitigated by utilizing underwater drones, and a thesis about a tidal generator and why Galveston is actually not the best place to implement one, and a thesis about using machine learning algorithms and a thesis about using machine learning algorithms and AI to help detect and clean up oil spills more efficiently. And we actually went with that last thesis. So we chose thesis number 3 because of its real-world implication, because oil spills are indeed a very large problem that has a number of implications on both the environment and our economy, and because this issue and our solution that we have implemented to solve it is actually related to all of our future careers, because we have many different engineers in our team who are planning to go into many different fields such as computer science, artificial intelligence, and machine learning.
Okay, so we found 5 interesting things. We found a shipwreck, we found an oil rig, we found the Galveston Island Causeway, we found some more ships that are not wrecked, and we found a floating dry dock. The most significant one, as you might expect, was the oil rig. The oil rig was damaged twice in the past, once by very high waves that slammed into its ballast tanks and caused it to take on water. However, that did not spill any oil. And the second time, its drilling riser had a tensile overload failure and one of its bolts broke. Now, the interesting thing is we have all of this publicly available information about all these oil rigs, and we can find them and put them on a list. So maybe each oil rig gets its own danger level along with its location. And if its danger level is higher, maybe the image classifier that is watching all the satellite images is more sensitive to it. So maybe if it's 30% sure it's an oil spill, it's more likely to send out robots to go and investigate and see what they need to do. Additionally, we can station some robots more nearby so that in the higher likelihood that this one spills, we can go ahead and make the cleanup process even faster. And also, the location of the ENSCO is right here, if you want to see it. That's right there. We made a little map for it.
Hello, my name is Nico Corso. Some ways we found that would help clean oil spills are burning the oil, robots that can skim the surface of the oil, and absorbents that suck up the oil. But each of these have their own pros and cons. Burning is fast and cheap, but it can also cause a lot of damage to the environment, especially the air quality and the fire being a big risk. Robots are effective, but very costly and slow. And absorbents are cheap and effective, but can lead to problems later with the cleanup and disposal. We found that researching chemistry, mechanical engineering, and biology gave us a lot of good solutions for cleaning up oil in the best and most efficient ways possible. Oil has a big effect on the marine environment. It can impede birds from flying and doing their ecosystem's needs. It greatly interrupts the fishing industry and pollutes the water that the ecosystem around us needs to grow and to feed. Our ideas of the ideas that we have seen, implementation depends a lot on the factors of the specific oil spill. So as I mentioned before, each method has a lot of pros and cons, and depending on the amount of resources or the time available, we would pick a different method for cleaning up an oil spill. Oh.
Thanks for listening to our presentation. We were Kevin, Matthew, Phillip, Isaac, and Nico.
And Nico?